On this edition for Sunday, November 17th, impeachment inquiry hearings enter week 2. A long-awaited project that could help keep Venice afloat. And in our signature segment, efforts to save Australia's koalas. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Karina Mitchell.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Week 2 of public hearings in the congressional impeachment inquiry are about to get underway. Scheduled testimony includes high-ranking officials, some with first-hand knowledge of President Trump's conversations about Ukraine. Yesterday, there was more closed-door testimony and the release of transcripts from earlier sessions. Jennifer Williams, an aide to Vice President Mike Pence, who listened to the call between Mr. Trump and the Ukrainian president on July 25th, told investigators President Trump's push for Ukraine to open investigations into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter was, quote, unusual and inappropriate. Meanwhile, Tim Morrison, former senior director for Russian affairs at the National Security Council, told investigators that European Union Ambassador Gordon Sondland spoke to a top Ukrainian official about exchanging military aid for political investigations at the request of President Trump. Both Morrison and Williams are expected to testify publicly this week, along with 6 others, including Ambassador Gordon Sondland. In an interview today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she doesn't know when the inquiry phase will end. When it does, the House Judiciary Committee will decide whether or not to impeach the president. For more on what's ahead in the impeachment inquiry and the continuing showdown between congressional committees and the White House, Emily Bazelon, a staff writer for the New York Times Magazine, joins us now from New Haven, Connecticut. Emily, thank you so much for being here. We're heading into the second week of testimony, but it comes after some argue week 1 didn't really deliver the fireworks Democrats promised from their star witnesses. Who do you think is going to be key to hear from this week in helping them make their case for impeachment?
You know, I think this is like a mosaic, and each witness is filling in a different part of the picture for us. One really key witness that I think everyone is waiting to hear from, again, is Gordon Sondland. He is President Trump's appointee to be the ambassador for the European Union. So Sondland had this conversation with President Trump in which, according to another official, David Holmes, Sondland told President Trump that no worries, Ukraine was going to do the investigating, the providing of presumably false information about the Bidens that Trump was requesting. So I think we're going to see Sondland try to figure out how to handle a report of a phone call, which could get him in a lot of trouble because he omitted it when he testified before Congress previously.
Do you think that it's possible Gordon Sondland doesn't testify? He'll definitely find himself in the hot seat, as you say.
It's possible that he could plead the fifth, as we say, because if he has lied to Congress, that's a crime. We just saw another Trump associate, Roger Stone, be convicted of that crime on Friday. I would imagine, though, that it is in Sondland's interest to try to clean this up. And the question will be, does that mean that he further implicates President Trump directly in this effort to pressure Ukraine?
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see which way he goes. How do you think transcripts released yesterday from Tim Morrison and Pence staffer Jennifer Williams, both set to testify on Tuesday, tie into all of this case that the Democrats are trying to make?
You know, I think with Morrison and Williams, what you see is dismay on the part of these professionals in the State Department and the National Security Council. They're trying to run the regular agreed upon policy in Ukraine, and they're getting a lot of interference and feedback from this irregular policy channel that Giuliani was running. And so they're filling in some of the details of this kind of end run around the policy making that the regular government was trying to pursue.
What do you think the end game for Adam Schiff and Democrats is with all of this and the overarching role of Congress here to investigate when the executive branch says it can't be investigated?
Well, the Trump administration has taken a very unusual position in having a blanket refusal to allow anyone from the government to testify. Now, obviously, we have nonetheless had a parade of witnesses, but all of those people are testifying despite a direct order from the White House. And this very unusual decision by the Trump administration to try to block all testimony, that really flies in the face of Congress's responsibilities and authority to investigate the executive branch. There are institutional interests at play here, Congress versus the president, and then there are partisan interests at play, Republicans versus Democrats. And we're seeing the Republicans in Congress seem to focus only on the partisan interests and not at all on their institutional prerogatives, and that is weakening Congress.
We'll see how the very busy week ahead plays out. Emily Bazelon, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
The Democratic governor of Louisiana, John Bel Edwards, was reelected to a second term last night.
If this campaign has taught us anything, it's that the partisan forces in Washington, D.C. are not strong enough to break through the bonds that we share as Louisianans.
Edwards is the only Democrat to hold a governorship in the Deep South. He narrowly defeated Republican businessman Eddie Rispone by about 40,000 votes. Rispone aligned himself closely with President Trump, who held 3 rallies for the Republican in recent weeks. Iranian officials shut down internet access across the country today after protests erupted following the government's decision Friday to ration fuel and hike prices by at least 50%. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei backed the government's decision to increase prices. In a live speech on state television, he condemned protesters who have set fire to banks and other buildings. Authorities said at least 2 people have been killed in the protests, including a police officer. A semi-official Iranian news agency said 1,000 protesters have been arrested and 100 banks set on fire. The standoff between police and about 200 protesters occupying a university campus in Hong Kong escalated today. Riot police used tear gas and water cannons to remove a group of protesters from outside the campus of Hong Kong Polytechnic University after issuing an ultimatum for them to disperse. Protesters retaliated with gasoline bombs and shot a police media liaison officer in the leg with an arrow. Some demonstrators later retreated inside the campus before setting fire to a footbridge to slow the police pursuit. The former Defense Secretary of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was elected as the country's new president today. He pledged to restore peace and deliver unity to a country still recovering from Islamic State-inspired attacks this past Easter that killed 269 people. Rajapaksa is popular among Sri Lanka's Buddhist ethnic majority, but minority Tamils and Muslims view him as a populist strongman and voted overwhelmingly against him. A record flooding continued in Venice, Italy today for the 3rd time this week. Water flooded St. Mark's Square and officials closed the historic St. Mark's Basilica to the public, stacking sandbags against windows to prevent water from entering the crypt. Tourists waded through water and walked along elevated platforms, and shop owners used flood barriers to stay open. City officials say it's the worst flooding in 50 years, with estimates of $1 billion in damages so far. This week, Italy's prime minister said the government will accelerate a project underway since 2003 to build a barrier to protect the city. Charges of corruption and cost overruns have delayed the $6 billion project until at least 2021. Back in 2017, NewsHour weekend special correspondent Chris Livesay reported on the ambitious project.
The Italian government does have a plan to protect Venice. It's called the Mose Project. Conceived in the 1970s, it's a series of 78 underwater gates secured to the floor of the Venice Lagoon. During especially high tides, they'll be pumped with air and rise to the surface to block rising water from reaching the city. 4 giant barriers across 3 inlets are scheduled to be operational by 2019.
Is Mose able to defend Venice? Yes, Mosè will be able to protect the city of Venice from exceptionally high water. That means water that exceeds 3.5 feet above sea level.
So this is what the gate looks like when it's
This is the gate when it is standing on the bottom of the inlet.
Dario Berti is engineering and production manager with the company building the Mosè project. Construction began in 2003. Testing in 2013. If this is the first project of its kind, how can you be so sure that it's going to work?
Well, this is the result of years and years of planning and experiments on models, trials in tanks. It's been tested in all possible conditions, so we're certain it will work.
Environmental scientist Jane D'Amasto says the Italian government should have gone back and reviewed the engineering and scientific basis for Mosè.
There hasn't been any kind of technical review about whether or not they're doing the right thing. And that I do find seriously alarming.
D'Amasto is executive director of a nonprofit group called We Are Here Venice, which is trying to raise awareness of the challenges facing Venice. So there's a lot of concern among Venetians that the work at Mosè isn't being done properly.
It's not just amongst Venetians. Articles have been published in national newspapers, international journals. They have a problem about sand going into the indentations in the lagoon floor where the panels then have to lie back down again. They found that the hinges, they've started corroding much sooner than they thought they would. They also keep delaying when they say it's going to be ready. Not a good sign.
Mosè engineers say they are addressing the issues of sand obstructing the barriers and of rusting hinges. But Luca Zaggia from the Institute of Marine Sciences National Research Council of Italy warns assuming they work, there's a limit to how many times the defensive flood barriers can be deployed before they damage the lagoon. How many times can you raise the flood barriers in a year?
We say 10 times a year is the best amount, maybe 15 or 20, but no more.
But the climate is changing, the water level is rising. What happens 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Is that still going to be the case?
Oh, no, sure. We will close more frequently, up to 100 times a year.
100 times a year?
Yeah.
What's that going to do to the lagoon?
Sure. It will be a terrible disaster for the ecosystem. Stagnation first, and then contamination and growth of macroalgae.
So it sounds very harmful.
Yeah, it is. You can have massive death of fishes in summer.
But the flooding is getting worse as the water level in the Adriatic Sea and Venice Lagoon rises due to climate change. The sea level alone has risen 5.5 inches since 1900, according to city officials. Which is why marine scientist Luca Zaggia is putting his faith in the Mosè project to save Venice for future generations. So the system must work. The alternative is what?
It must work. We have no alternatives at this point. It has to work.
To watch our entire report on Italy's efforts to protect Venice from flooding, visit pbs.org/newshour. Few animals are identified as thoroughly with their home country as the koala is with Australia. But loss of habitat and other factors have caused the koala population to plummet. And most recently, bushfires burning on the country's east coast have killed as many as 350 of the animals. One organization is trying to protect the koala population by starting a live genome bank to tackle some of the biggest threats to their existence. NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Kirsty Johansson has the story.
Australia is home to some of the most diverse natural landscapes. On the Gold Coast, a city in the state of Queensland, unspoilt coastline meets native bushland, making it prime location for urban development. But as a consequence, deforestation is increasing, destroying or leaving in fragments the habitats of one of the country's most well-loved animal, the koala.
They're in imminent danger of becoming extinct, becoming endangered. The population's doing this. It's not doing this, it's not doing this, the population's doing this. And every day that goes by means there's one less koala.
Al Mucci from the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation, a non-profit that supports conservation research and education in the wild, has been working with koalas for more than 3 decades. He says over the past 10 years he's seen the koala population on the Gold Coast dwindle from 10,000 to less than 2,000. It's that statistic that drove Moochie to start a world-first pilot program, the Living Koala Genome Bank project, that aims to address the increasing threat of local koala extinction due to habitat loss and disease, and save the few koalas left for future generations.
When you've got 5 koalas here, 10 koalas there, a freeway, an industrial area, sports fields, golf course, housing, how do these koalas breed with these? They can't fly. They need trees, they need help, they need support. So we grab females from this population, males from this population, bring them into our captive breeding facility, see how serious they are with disease, clean them up and put them back into the wild with a joey in its pouch from an unrelated male.
With their trees disappearing, koalas are spending more time on the ground in search of food and shelter. And this is when they're most vulnerable to being hit by vehicles and attacked by dogs. Another reason for their population decline is the disease chlamydia, which is an epidemic among koalas. The stress of losing habitat can cause the symptoms of chlamydia to manifest, which can lead to blindness, severe bladder inflammation, infertility, and ultimately death. Over the past 6 to 12 months, Moochie and his team have rescued 20 wild koalas and brought them into this quarantine facility. More than half have had to be euthanised because of illness, but the rest are being treated for chlamydia with antibiotics and will then be vaccinated against the disease. While the goal is to release the koalas back into the wild, a lot must happen before that can occur. It's currently mating season, and for University of Queensland Associate Professor Stephen Johnston, who is the lead reproductive biologist on the project, this is crucial time. He is utilising new breeding and molecular technologies to map the genetic variation of wild koalas in different locations across the Gold Coast.
We have wild animals, we have a wild male and a wild female. And those animals may have been from 2 different complete locations. So we can bring those animals in together, into the same enclosure. We can test for the genetics. And again, we can do the same thing. We can actually see in their offspring whether we've got a representation of those genetics or have we increased the diversity.
The goal is to see whether captive koala populations could act as reservoirs of healthy genes to protect local wild koalas.
I guess what we're trying to do here in captivity is demonstrate that we can fine scale manage the genetics, whichever way it might be, to either maintain a population as a complete population or to bring new genes into that population to increase the genetic fitness.
One way koalas are crossbred is through artificial insemination. Johnston first stimulates the reproductive tract of a female called Cinnamon.
So she's settling down there.
Next, selected semen with particular genetic characteristics is delivered via a catheter. The other way is more conventional.
Come on, handsome.
A male called Sully has been picked as the best prospect to be taken to meet the females today.
Hey, Lola.
It's a process. First, he is introduced nose to nose.
Oh, not happy with him? No? Okay. Oh, or maybe you are.
The females get agitated before Sully is released onto the ground to pick his favourite. But for poor Sully, it's not his day.
So it looks like Sully was keen today.
He was very keen. You could tell he was keen to introduce himself to all the girls in here. Unfortunately, all the girls were giving him the wrong signs, though. They were vocally rejecting him and physically rejecting him, which is a pretty strong sign that they're not in estrus.
Pinpointing exactly how many koalas are left in Australia is a challenge for scientists because of the country's size and the koala's nomadic nature. In April 2012, the Australian government officially listed koalas as vulnerable, meaning numbers are in or at risk of steep decline in the states of New South Wales, Queensland and the Australian Capital Territory. Deborah Tabart is CEO of the Australian Koala Foundation, an international non-profit dedicated to the effective management and conservation of the koala and its habitat. In May this year, she announced koalas were functionally extinct, meaning a species' population has declined so much that it no longer plays a significant role in the ecosystem.
Our research has shown that there's only 15% of the habitats of Australia left, and we are confident there's no more than 86,000 animals, more likely half that.
And that's why she is lobbying the Australian government to enact a law called the Koala Protection Act, which is based on the US Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act.
The Koala Protection Act says if there is a koala tree on your property, you can't do anything until you prove your activity is benign. It's that simple.
Saving the koala is a personal mission for Tabat, but also economically crucial for Australia. Koalas are a major Australian tourism drawcard, and you can see why. National tourism figures show 75% of inbound visitors report they hope to see a koala when making the decision to travel here. Australia Institute research has found koalas are estimated to bring in almost $2.2 billion annually to Australia and generate around 30,000 tourism industry jobs. Presidents, prime ministers, celebrities and regular folks all want to be photographed holding a koala during their visit. Al Mucci from the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation says he doesn't want to ever see that change. His project already has a success story and we are going to look for him.
The beeps are getting louder and a bit closer together, so that's good. I haven't seen our little fella for about a week, so I'm getting excited.
His name is El Yungo and he's the first koala that the project has successfully released back into the wild. What's El Yungo's background?
So he was a koala in imminent danger of dying in the Coomera area of the Gold Coast through development. When we brought him into the program, he was riddled with chlamydia. So we've cleaned him up, vaccinated him. He's bred with some of our females as part of the program, and now he's been released into another reserve. So he's new genetics for this property here.
El Yungo wears a collar and can be tracked using GPS and VHF tracking devices. The tracking devices can pick up a koala within 12 kilometres, so it can sometimes be tough to find their exact location, especially when they are perched at the top of the trees.
All right, the beeps are getting stronger. So he must be in one of these trees. There he is, got him. Yep, the collar's on him. That's El Yungo. And he's having a bit of a snooze. Good on you, mate. You're looking good.
By collecting El Yungo's faecal samples each day, the team are able to monitor his health and pick up any new risks of disease.
My vision is that the population stays stable. We've disrupted the bushland area so much now that we're not going to see this. We just need to make it stable. Managing the genetics, managing the disease, it's intervention, and this is the only way we're going to save them.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Sunday.
There is a long history of a brutal fur trade that led to the decline and near extinction of Australia's koala population in the late 1920s. It was then that public outrage over a Queensland government-endorsed open season on koala hunting brought the practice to an end. Here's more from NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Kirsty Johansson.
Recent research by the Australian Koala Foundation has revealed a large bulk of the wild koala population was wiped out during the fur trade between 1888 and the late 1920s. It's believed at least 8 million koalas were killed, with their pelts shipped to the US, Canada and the UK. Koala fur is waterproof and was commonly used to make hats, gloves and to line coats. Historic auction house records show more than 400,000 pelts alone were shipped from Adelaide, a city in the state of South Australia, to the US in 1901. In 1919, 2 million pelts were shipped from South Australia to the US, followed by another 2 million in 1924. The koala fur trade was only halted when former US President Herbert Hoover, then US Secretary for Commerce, signed an order permanently prohibiting koala skin importation in 1927. The killings were then banned in all Australian states after a massive public backlash in what was thought to be the country's first large citizen conservation movement. The Australian Koala Foundation believes President Hoover saved koalas from early extinction, but the population could never bounce back.
NewsHour will have live coverage of this week's impeachment inquiry hearings online and on air. Hearings are planned for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can find a complete schedule on our website, pbs.org/newshour. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Karina Mitchell. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wackenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
You're watching PBS.